Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here at Clintondale Middle School in room 111, and I'm here to talk about the Supreme Court cases that were studied. And all three happen to be about First Amendment rights, and those cases are called Tinker, Hazelwood, and Jafree. And what we're doing is we're doing a compare and contrast over what things they have in common and what things they are totally different on. So first of all, I'd like to say I've already mentioned it, that first of all, Tinker, Hazelwood, and Jafree all are First Amendment cases. They all had students who sued the government over some type of First Amendment rights. Another thing that they all have in common is that all these cases were handled by the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court is made up of 9 justices who are appointed by the president and then confirmed or approved by the Senate. Another thing that is having to do with these cases that are similar is that they all happened between 1960 and 1990, which is basically our generation. I mean, it's a little bit old for you, but for me, some of these cases were going on when I was in elementary school during the 1980s, which brings me up to some of the similarities that we have between 2 of the cases, but not all 3. For instance, Hazelwood and Jafree took place during the 1980s. That is a similarity. Also, Tinker and Hazelwood both had to do with free speech slash freedom of expression, that part of the First Amendment that talks about our ability to say what we want to say. Hazelwood and Jafree, like I said, both took place in the 80s. And another similarity that is Tinker and Jafree, the students won their cases, and in Hazelwood, the school won. Now, some of the things that make these cases unique is, first of all, the thing that I want to say about Tinker, when it comes down to it, is Tinker is a landmark decision. And what that means is this is such a big decision by the Supreme Court that it is very famous and that it really sets what's called a precedent. And a precedent is when you do things one way, that's the way you're going to do them. That is the precedent. Okay, the precedent is how you did it the first time is how you're usually going to continue to do it. The thing that's unique about Hazelwood is that in Hazelwood, the school wins, and they control their own newspaper, and they control their own football uniforms and their desks and their lockers. And if you want to use them, then you are going to have to follow their rules. The thing that I want to bring up that's unique about Jafree is this case has to do with a very sticky subject, which is religion and religion in schools. And a lot of people are going to agree with the Jafree case. A lot of people are going to disagree. A lot of people think that there is room for prayer and room for religion in school. And other people think that it should be completely removed. But when it comes down to it, when the majority of people want the religion to be in there, and then there's this minority who does not want it, the minority is usually going to be defended by the Supreme Court. One of the things that I want to say about how I remember these things is, first of all, I'm a teacher and I work in the schools, so it's important for me to know all these things so I don't get myself caught up in one of these cases. Another way that I remember is that the Supreme Court is very powerful. And like I said before, anything that's very powerful should be watched very closely. And every time, usually it happens in the summer, but every time the Supreme Court is going to make a ruling on anything, I pay very close attention to it because it's one of the most powerful institutions that we have. So that being said, there's not really a whole lot else to put. It's been a 4-minute video, so it's time to go. I was just wondering if you saw that bird flying over my head. All right, it's been good talking to you about these cases, and I hope to see you some other time on YouTube. Thank you.